Welcome to Woodshop 101, a woodworking audio podcast geared toward the hobby weekend woodworker. Our hosts for the show are Jeremy Crawford and Drew Shore. Join these two different craftsmen for a lighthearted banter about everything in woodworking, online education, and how they produce content. Topics could include the latest news, tips, tricks, and designs, to include furniture, crafts, and shop projects. Welcome to episode number 14. Today we're going to do something a little different. Instead of picking a topic and kind of talking to you guys about that topic, we've actually each picked out about 5 videos from YouTube that we really enjoy, and we're going to kind of talk about them and tell you guys what we think about them and why you should go over and watch them. All right. I would also like to remind you, if you listen to the show on iTunes, to please give us a 5-star rating. It helps us reach a greater audience. All right, so let's jump into it. I think we're going to try to keep this show pretty quick today. It's been about 3 weeks since our last episode. Summer's starting to wrap up and things are just getting hectic. But we definitely didn't want to miss a show, and we thought doing something a little different would lighten the load and give you something else to listen to and then want to go watch. So, how are you today, Drew?
I'm doing pretty good. I've been busy just like you, which is one reason why recording the past few weeks has been kind of difficult. Yeah, everything's getting pretty hectic, and seems like it's either my job or plans that have come up that we do on the weekends.
I totally get that. I mean, it's like every day there's something else popping up, and I guess that's the price you pay for having a family. And, you know, I think that's why we started this podcast together, because we're both pretty flexible. We have families, and we know that we can't stick to a rigorous schedule all the time.
Yeah, so, rigorous is a good word for it.
Yeah, we're very flexible and fluid here. So, yeah, and so most of you know that we record on Thursday nights, pretty much the first and the third week of the month. Here we are. Recording the first episode for August, and we're floating in the second week, and we're actually recording on Sunday afternoon. So when we talk fluid, we can change it around a little bit and make do and still get you guys a quality show out. So let's talk quickly about what's going on in our shops. Drew, what do you got going on?
Right now, I'm still in an organizational phase. I am actually in the middle of recording a video for my channel for the first time in about a month and a half, because, like I said, I took some time off, and now I'm trying to get back into it. But I recently acquired some Pyxis cabinets, or drug cabinets, from a hospital that they were kind of upgrading their systems because the Pyxis cabinets that they owned, the business went out of business, so they weren't able to get them serviced anymore, so they had to buy a new cabinet. And my brother got them all free, and he ended up getting 6 of them. And I took 2. My dad took 1, and my brother kept the other 3. But they're filled with drawers. I mean, from head to toe, they're filled with drawers, and they're about 74 inches tall by about 24 inches wide, and it's about 24 inches deep. So it's tons of storage, and I had to rig it up to where I could open up the drawers, because those Pyxis cabinets are locked from the inside, and you have to figure out a way to get them to open. So I've been doing that today, and loading them up with some of the things that are in my toolbox, because it's falling apart. So right now that's pretty much it. It's just organization and recording my first video in about a month and a half.
Are these cabinets going to replace the plans to do some more shop cabinets to replace the black racks that you have?
No. No, they are actually covering up my windows in the garage, because I don't like people being able to come up to those windows and look inside and see what's in there. So they're just the right width and depth to cover up the windows, and I couldn't put any cabinetry there anyway, so they were kind of a bonus cabinet.
Yeah. Well, and plus, you know, when you record video, it's hard to control the light when you have light coming in from a window, plus your overhead lights, and that's always changing. Mm-hmm. You know, as the sun goes down or goes up, it casts shadows through that window, so it's going to be harder. So being able to control that light and not allow that light in is definitely a plus, and probably will lighten the load on you when it comes to editing your videos.
Definitely, especially since my router table is over in that area. I have to be creative whenever I was filming using my router, but now I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah. Well, there's been a lot going on in my shop lately, and outside my shop. I've, due to being out of town the last few weekends, kind of wiped out the last part of July and the first part of August. I've yet to finish the jewelry armoire for my wife. That's going to be set to finish hopefully this week. And I started a few pizza pills, so that's going to come next. So there's been a lot of starting things, not a lot of finishing. But, I get about, on my days off, and that's really the only time I can work in the shop right now, because I only get an hour or two a day. So we're looking at an hour or two a week to get in the shop, because it gets so hot here in the afternoon. We're going through a extremely bad heat spell right now, and we'll get up and it'll be 106 in the afternoon. I just can't work in that. I'm miserable. So my best foot forward wouldn't be put. That work wouldn't be as fun, and I'm going to get burnt out again. So I'm actually going tomorrow to pick up an air conditioner, and I'm going to be installing an AC this week in the shop. And hopefully that will bring it down to a manageable temperature to be able to work out there for a prolonged amount of time. And, I really didn't want to do that, especially because I'm in a rental house. So I bought a portable AC that I'm going to have to build some ductwork to exhaust it, since I don't have a window. But I had to do something. I just took in another large commission and I know I keep saying I don't want to do that, but it's a repeat business, and there's few customers that I'm going to continue to do work for them, just because they're good friends, and they're coming to me for a reason. I've obviously produced good enough work for them that they want to come back, so I'm not going to turn them down. And he gives me a lot of flexibility on the design aspect and pretty much any material that I want to use. So in order to get that done and get that fireplace mantle for my neighbor done, I've got to get some AC out in that shop so I can work. So I can work at nights too. So even on my days that I don't work my day job, I can get out and work for a few hours at night. So there's been a lot of behind the scenes things going. Not a lot of woodworking in the last 2 weeks, except for last Thursday. I actually jumped out with Habitat for Humanity and roofed a house for them. So
that's cool. That roofing business is hot.
yeah, it was. But I went out there with a bunch of guys that I work with, and we knocked out an entire roof in about 2.5 or 3 hours, which is quick.
Mm-hmm.
But you get people out there that can take direction pretty easily and know how to work quickly. And we just knocked it out. I mean, mind you, we didn't have to take off an existing roof. It's a new structure, and I'll put a picture down in the show notes for you guys to take a look at that. It's a new construction, so all we had to do was nail the plywood down, roll out the felt paper, and then throw on shingles. We didn't have to do any of the finishing work. We didn't have to put any of the exhaust vents on the top or anything. Somebody else would come in and do all that. So it was good to get outside the shop early in the morning and get something done. And it just kind of motivates you to do something else. And now, I want to figure out a way to do maybe a furniture build or something like that, or something small. Maybe do an auction to donate some money to the Habitat for Humanity, or donate a piece of furniture to one of the people that's receiving a house. I don't know. I've kind of been thinking about it over the last few days. But, like I was telling you earlier, Drew, that besides that, I haven't had a lot of time. My son's been in and out of the doctor. In fact, he was in the hospital on Friday for being sick. So, once we get him well, I'm gonna plan on moving in the direction of doing something that will benefit Habitat for Humanity some way or another, and then I'm gonna start cranking out these projects because we are possibly going to be moving in about 3 months because I'll be getting out of the Coast Guard.
Yeah, that'll come faster than you think.
Yeah, and if we move out of the area, I don't really want to be building a commission somewhere else and have to drive it back down here to deliver it. So I want to get those commissions done and get them delivered. And, I'll still take commissions here if they're small enough and manageable enough that I can mail them and not worry about that. But we really don't know what's going to happen with us in about 3 months. So I got to get moving and get some stuff done, get some projects done, because, when that 3 months comes and we maybe go to Dallas or wherever we go, I don't want the movers showing up and packing up half-completed projects, because you never know the outcome of that project once it moves. Once I get it delivered to me again, that half-finished table may not make it. It may fall apart. So, that hall table, that sofa table, it will get finished in the next 3 months. It has to. So.
All right, I'll hold you to it.
Yeah. Well, hopefully. That's one of the quicker projects that could be done. Like, I just need to cut the top to final dimension, bevel the edges, sand the top, and then throw in some paint and stain. Like, it honestly, in a total of like 2 or 3 days worth of work could be done. But like I said before, it's not really bringing in any money. Like, it's not a guarantee.
Mm-hmm.
So it's gonna sit back. I don't really know what to do with it right now, so I'm in no rush to finish it. So once it comes up, and I'm actually gonna sit down, I'm probably gonna get a calendar and create myself a timeline. Like, all right, here's the deadline to finish this project. Here's the deadline to finish that project. So I know where I'm at in time for those 3 months, because weeks just tend to fly by right now, especially with 2 kids. So
it's kind of funny you brought that stuff up, because remember we had talked about goal setting once before, and my wife and I have been actually going over in our heads and what we need to do to set goals to make our lives a little easier and make my channel flow better and all my projects come forth easier instead of having to think of them at the last minute.
I think we've talked about, like, I really want to get into more videos, and I just never find the time to be able to complete a project start to finish. So I think over the next few months, as I do these smaller projects, as smaller sub-projects within those bigger projects pop up, I'm going to record those things, some kind of like tips and tricks, and put those out there just to start creating that content and getting it out there. And one of the ones I know I'm going to do is on the pizza pill. I have a knot in one of the wood, and I'm going to fill it. And so I'm going to record that on how to stabilize a knot in a piece of lumber. That only may end up being a 5 or 10 minute video, maybe a 3 minute video, but it's something to get content out there. And that way I'm just kind of taking that end goal and modifying it a little bit to help me get to that larger piece. Because if I keep saying, oh, I'll do it, and I never find the time to record a project, then I'm just going to keep saying I'm going to do it. So I might as well take smaller steps to get there instead of trying to do it all at once. So
I know exactly how you feel.
I take it there's probably going to be a lot of hopefully moving parts and shuffling around and schedule changes between my show and your show, and hopefully in the end game, at the end of the year, we'll both be in a better place and we can look back and see the leaps and bounds that we've gone through.
Exactly. So as you guys can tell, we've got a lot going on, but let's go ahead and get down to the nuts and bolts of this particular episode. Our topic, like Jeremy had mentioned, is basically 5 videos that we have picked on YouTube to that we like and watch and want to refer you guys to go ahead and watch them. And you might even find subscribing to their channel. The 5 videos that I picked really aren't all woodworking. Some of them are kind of outside the realm of woodworking, but they're still fun. And I always look forward to a new post whenever they put one out. Jeremy, are all yours woodworking related, or do you have some out of the box thinking videos too?
No. All mine, some form or fashion, are woodworking related or have. No, they're all woodworking related. Yeah, that's the base of it. The base of it is building something out of wood, whether they use other types of material in it, but something is still being created out of wood, or has to do with woodworking. And which is kind of funny that, when we approached the subject, I just said, let's just pick 5 videos. And in the back of my head, I'm thinking, well, we'll just pick 5 woodworking videos. And you send me your 5 videos. I'm like, yo, that's just crazy to see the different ways our minds think. And you went with like 5 videos that I think somebody will benefit from, whether it be woodworking or any kind of information. I went with, okay, well, what's the 5 best woodworking videos that I think somebody will like to watch? And I mean, believe it or not, I actually sat down and watched all 5 of your videos. And I intentionally didn't send you the links to mine, because maybe that'll give you something to look forward to after the show to go watch.
There you go.
But like you said, let's just get down to it. Like, let's go one video a piece until we get through the list.
All right. So let's start with you. Go ahead.
All right. I think my first video is from I Like to Make Stuff, and I've been following his channel, and if y'all didn't know, he's part of the Making It podcast. His is how to make gliders, and this is one of those ones I said kind of uses other material. He makes a glider, like just a little handheld glider on a CNC machine out of balsa wood, and he makes one out of styrofoam, and kind of shows you the compare and contrast of how they fly, and he makes it on a CNC, but you can definitely make it using like a little coping saw or a fret saw. You could even make it on a bandsaw or a scroll saw. But sometimes I just like watching those little videos. I try to get ideas like, well, what could I make that my son would enjoy doing along with me? Well, I could go out and make a couple of these and let them decorate them, and we'll go outside and fly them. So he definitely takes you along on the build process, not knowing what he's doing. And he tells you, I don't know, like, well, I'm just making it, and we'll see how it comes out. And so I like that, kind of shooting from the hip, and let's see, because in reality, that's what a lot of us do in the shop. We get out there and we just start making something, and hopefully it goes the way we want it to go.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, what's your first video?
First one that I came across was April Wilkerson's compass rose stool. And it's kind of funny that yours was a CNC project too, because that's what this one is. She actually put together her X-Carve that she had sitting in her shop in the box for quite some time because she never had the time to put it together. And now that she's got her shop all cleaned up, she put her CNC together and did a project with it to try it out. And this one in particular was a little, almost like a milking stool. It's just I think it's a 4-legged stool actually. And she engraved a compass rose on the very top. And it actually took her a few tries to get it right, but you're going to get that when you're first learning that thing anyway.
Yeah, well, and plus you got to build the CNC, so you're gonna have to work out the bugs of you actually building that and putting it together.
Yeah, and there's been a lot of those inventable CNC X-carves out there right now, so you're going to see a lot of videos, but this one in particular I thought was a very, if you acquired a CNC, was going to be a very DIY kind of project, and that's what April's all about. She even learned that straight leg stools were not as attractive as a compound mitered stool, so she even showed you how to do all that. So I was kind of impressed with how it came out and how the CNC made the top of the stool look. I don't know how comfortable it is to sit on.
It looks amazing, though. I mean, there's a lot of detail to it.
Yeah,
there is a lot of detail, and I actually reached out to April and I told her, she should have filled it with like an epoxy, maybe colored tint epoxy. But I think it would have looked really cool having it tinted. That would give a different perspective and maybe make it a little flatter, a little smoother to sit on.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, I mean, I don't know how comfortable it is to sit on with all the different nooks and crannies, because there's a lot of carving out of that.
I guess you can always find your direction on your butt.
There you go.
Well, what's your next video, dude?
Mine, I talked about, I'm making a couple pizza pills. So pizza pills have been on the mind. And the design I finally decided to model mine after, and I don't know if it'll be exactly, is Mark Spagnolo's. But I definitely looked around on YouTube to kind of see different ones creators have made. And one of the ones that is a little easier, not necessarily as in-depth as Mark Spagnolo's, is from Woodlogger, and his How to Make a Pizza Pill. He keeps the steps very basic and doesn't use a lot of compound angles or a lot of hand tools to make it. He doesn't do a lot of curves and stuff like that. So I would say it's a little more beginner-friendly. You don't necessarily need as many tools or techniques to make it. And I may, after I make these two, I may make one and see how it turns out from his design. That's, I probably could have filled all 5 of these videos with pizza pill videos, but that wouldn't have been any fun. So I took the one I liked the most outside of Mark Spagnolo's, and he's Woodlogger. He's a good presenter, and it's basic. So that's why I picked it.
That's good. So yeah, I've seen Mark's before too, and I've cooked a lot of pizzas just on the grate of my oven before, and I've always wished that I had some kind of a peel to get it out. But
yeah, well, see, I have the pizza stone, and I'm actually making them for my father and my brother, and they both have pizza stones, and that's really what a pizza pill is made to use on is a pizza stone. But I don't see why you couldn't use it off of the grate. So maybe you should make you one.
Maybe one day.
Yeah, surprise your wife, honey. Here's a pizza pill.
Yeah,
now let's make some pizza.
I'll make it when you finish the jewelry cabinet.
Okay, look, if you really want to do this,
no,
that jewelry cabinet is going to be done, because all I have left to do is put on the top coat and then put on the glaze and one more set of top coat, and I'm done.
You still owe me one from my assembly table getting finished.
Okay, so when I finish the hall table and that, that's going to be done next week. I'm just letting you know.
Okay.
All right, so what was your next video?
This one, I'll skip my second one here. I'll go to my third because it's still woodworking, and that is a timeout bench made by Trevor Carter. And it's kind of funny that I chose this one because I used to make timeout benches when I did craft shows, and they were actually a pretty big hit. You wouldn't be you'd be surprised how many little kids would come up and sit on that bench, and the parents would just tell them to stay there while they finished, because they were just the right height for a little 2-3-year-old. And mine had a curved bottom with slats, and the back of it said timeout. And Trevor's was the same way. He kind of had a curved seat, and the back was I couldn't tell if he wood burned the timeout on there because he didn't go through that. But one of them he had timeout written on, the other one he didn't, and he didn't really go into detail as to how he did the timeout on the back of his. But mine was all engraved with routering. I just kind of free-handed timeout on there, and I think he might have wood burned his. But it was just kind of a cute little project that a beginning woodworker can whip out pretty easily too, and it would be either a good place to set your stuffed animals in your kid's room, or actually use it as a timeout bench, or having just a little small little work piece in the living room for conversation starters. It's just kind of a cute little idea.
Yeah, that's one of those things, I wish I've always built. And time gets away from you, and then they're 5 years old, and there's no need for it.
You're going to have another kid.
I do have another kid, and I don't. No, we're done.
I do.
We're done. My daughter's it.
All right.
She's already proven to be going to be a pain. So, in fact, me and my wife were talking about it today, that pretty sure she's going to give us the run for our money, and my son's going to cover it up for her. So, we're starting to figure them out, maybe. All right, well, my next one, and if you haven't seen Drew on Facebook or myself on Facebook lately, we have both really gotten back into working out and really making a new lease on life. And so I've kind of looked around at different videos on YouTube, maybe if things people have created, and I came across a very basic pull-up bar from John Peters over at John Peters Art and Home, and his son got real big into working out, and so they built a pull-up bar in the backyard. They constructed, I think, with some 4x4s and put a metal bar across the top, and it was part of the process of building like a whole outdoor like Flintstone gym. So, which
that sounds cool.
I've always wanted to do, but we'll see if I ever get. I mean, I'm not going to do it in my small backyard. Like if I get a place that's got about an acre of land or something, then I'll definitely set out aside to do it. Because I mean, as I get older and I work out less and less, my son's going to get older, my daughter's going to get older. Eventually we'll have grandkids, and so it's not something that will just get stopped being used. Somebody will always use it.
Mm-hmm.
So
I'll have to check that out now.
All right, what's your next one?
This one is a little outside the realm of actual making a project, but for people that have woodworking channels, this one would be beneficial, especially if you want to collaborate like Jeremy and I do on this show. It is Hannah Hart's 5 collab tips from YouTube Creator Academy. Basically, it's just a quick 56, 57 second video on the basic fundamental tips that you need to know before collabing with somebody. And it's kind of funny when she goes through these tips because it just kind of makes you giggle when she presents it. But like her first tip is make sure you know them. Don't collab because they have numbers. Make sure you genuinely like their channel. Make sure you've watched their videos on their channel. Make sure you know their real name. Make sure you're a sub to their channel. And lastly, make sure that you have great communication so you know when the posting is going to be done, because you'd hate to have a little miscommunication and then your partner that you collab with post the video before you do, and you're kind of left out in the dark and like, I thought we were posting on this day and it should have been this day. So if you have a notion to want to collab with somebody, make sure that you know them well and respect their work and feel that that's somebody that is a good mesh with you. Don't just collab with somebody because they have high numbers like Steve Ramsey or Mark Spagnuolo or somebody like that. Not saying that these guys aren't genuine guys, but don't pick somebody because they're just high numbers and you want the high numbers because you're collabing with them.
Yeah, when I watched that video, she's pretty funny how she presents that, because some of those are like pretty basic. Like, you would think if you're gonna collab with somebody, those are like basic thoughts. Like, I need to know that person. Like, when she talks about it, like, she doesn't have to physically know that person, but you have to have talked to them before. You can't just like reach out and be like, hey, never talked to you before, but hey, you want to collab with me on this? You got to have some prior communication.
You'd be surprised how many people would just spam you wanting to do a collaboration.
So, all right, well, my next one is going to be from Nick Ferry, and I picked this one because it's been in the back of my mind, and I've kind of watched a lot of different videos trying to figure out really what I want, and that's how to make his table saw crosscut / miter sled combo. I've been needing to make one, so I've watched a lot of videos over the last year, and I really like how he did it. He made his very multi-purpose, and that's what I want for mine. I want mine to be very multi-purpose. I don't want it to be just so strict of, here's cross cuts, use a hand clamp to put on a stop block. Like, I want to be able to incorporate those things in there. And so I really like his design. Will I model it exactly after him? I don't know. I don't know if I really need the miter part of it, but if I'm there, I might just go ahead and build it, because you never know down the line when I will need it. I already have a miter sled, but could this one eliminate the need to have two separate sleds? So if you haven't watched it, I'd definitely check it out, because it's pretty intricate on how he builds that one.
Yeah, I have watched that one, actually. And it just goes to show you that a simple jig or a tool doesn't have to be made the traditional way. If you can multi-purpose a jig to do 2 or 3 or even 4 things, and it just be one thing that you can hang on the wall and it does 4 jobs, that's a space saver and also a time saver. So just kind of open your mind whenever you're making jigs and fixtures for your tools. Just try and think outside the box and add what you can and try and get it to do more than just what it's meant to do.
Exactly. All right, what's your next video?
The coolest one that I've found in a long time, and I started watching this guy probably about a year ago. His name is DIY Pete is the name of his channel. And Pete, I'm sorry I can't quite think of your name right off the bat, but he lives in Montana. Trying to think of his city, Bozeman, Montana. And if you just watch his videos, he just lives in beautiful country out there. And the particular project that I really enjoyed watching was his concrete LED table. He actually made a table base, which is a separate video for this particular tabletop. And he shows you how to make the form, pour the concrete, prep the area for the acrylic coasters, because he has permanent acrylic coasters. Whenever it's all said and done, the light shines through those coasters. And then he also incorporates like a cooler center area of the table. It goes almost the length of the table, but you can put ice and your beverages in that area. And he's got the lights running through that as well, so it kind of glows through the ice and the bottles and whatever you have in that area. And he also has an acrylic piece that goes on top of that, so if you wanted to just set things flush with the tabletop, you can.
Yeah, I watched that, and
it was impressive.
Wow, yeah, like it literally made me want to get out and build one.
Yeah, it was very impressive, and I've watched it 3 or 4 times just to pick up on anything that I might have missed. But his channel is very, very impressive. He has a lot of production equipment that he uses, and his videos are really thought out and put together. So it's a channel worth checking out and worth watching a lot of his stuff.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that, like, oh man, I watched it and I was so inspired. Like, I wanted to get outside and build it. And then I bring myself down to reality that, again, I may be moving in 3 months. I'm probably not going to move a concrete table because that thing probably weighs 500 pounds.
Yeah, that's considered a fixture after you get it installed.
Yeah. So it will probably be, I know an outdoor table whenever we move, whether if we stay here in Friendswood, wherever, but we may not stay in the same house. We may decide to buy or move somewhere that more out into the country area, and an outdoor table is definitely going to be higher on the priority because we enjoy sitting outside. And I might branch out into the concrete world and try. Like, I've done a lot of concrete work, but I've never been confident enough that the concrete work I do could withstand an overhang like a table or a countertop. So we'll see. But it's definitely impressive and it's inspiring.
Definitely. Well, what's your last video?
Well, my last video is about hand planes. And we've talked about it a lot on the show. I've written a lot of articles about it. In fact, I'm writing an article about it now that will come out maybe this week sometime, and then the possibility of our next show, the topic for it is I could talk about this a little more. It's going to be from Paul Sellers, and it's sharpening and setting up a bench plane. So I really want to get into the hand tool side of woodworking. Sometimes I just don't want to be around loud noises. And, it's so peaceful to get out there and just do something without the electricity and the power and the noise. And I keep telling myself I really want to just go buy a plane. Like, that would be the easiest way. Buy a brand new plane and hone the blade and get to work. But the sentimental value inside me and the respect for my grandfather tells me that the 3 planes that I got from him deserve to be sharpened and set up and reconditioned the proper way. And Paul Sellers does a good job. He's got many videos that shows you how to do it. And this is one of his latest ones. In fact, I think it's about a month or 2 months old now. But he doesn't use all the brand new Lee Nilsons. He has a few of them, but he doesn't get all the Lee Nilsons or the Lee Valiant Veritas. He uses like the old Stanley number 4 planes or number 5 jacks. He shows you how to get those old planes tuned up and ready to work. And so I think that's going to be one of the I don't know if it'll be a video, and I don't know when it'll be, but I think I'm going to set aside a day within the next probably month that I can just kind of sit down and tinker with them and kind of get them where they're operable. And then, once I learn and really get comfortable with it, then I may go out and spend the $300 or the $200 on a brand new plane.
Well, there's like you said, there's no sense in buying one of those really expensive planes unless you know the basics on how to use it. Yeah, well,
once I get into it, once I start, I may decide, that I really don't like this.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't want to use a bench plane. Maybe I just want to use a block plane. But and a $200, I mean, that's quite an investment to something I don't really know much about. And besides the fact I got a couple great planes. I have a block plane, and I really kind of need to figure out what block plane it is from Stanley. And I've sharpened the blade, but I really got to just sit down and learn technique on doing planing, especially even with a block plane, because I used the work sharp and I got the blade super sharp, and I was still kind of get some tear out. It's kind of jumping around on me, kind of skipping. So I need to kind of figure it out. And I think after watching more videos, I think I installed the blade bevel up, and it's not a low angle block plane, so it should be beveled down. So I think that could be one of the reasons. But I need to just get out there and check it out, and see if I have it installed correctly. So, but that's why I picked it, because, like I said, pizza pills have been on my mind right now, and so is getting these planes working. I got the number 4 Stanley, which is a smoothing plane, but it can be very general purpose. And then I have a number 5 Jack, which is a Jack plane is your universal plane.
Yeah.
It can do a little bit of jointing, can do a little bit of rough stock. So I think I might set up my number 4 for more of the smoothing work, the more of the finer work, and set up the Jack for a more aggressive work. And I'll probably just get out there and grab some scrap stock and actually take a Sharpie and mark out how the grain's running, and really look at it and concentrate and trying to figure it out and play with it. And if I decide I don't like it, well, at least I got these planes, preed up again and derusted. I can set them up on the shelf and use that as some inspiration every time I'm in the shop thinking of my grandfather. So
I agree. I've got the planes too. I've got the 4 and 5. I've got a number 7. Got a couple block planes. I was in the bug of, okay, I got to get some hand tools just so I can start practicing. Well, then I started my channel, and a lot of that learning curve kind of took a back seat so I can get my channel off the ground. So I've got a whole bunch of planes that I need to fix up and get set up as well. So I may have to check out that channel just so I can see it. I know this is off the list that we've got, but Nick Ferry did another video on restoring a plane of his and made it look really beautiful too.
You just read my mind, because I was going to say that too. Like, he probably did a little more in depth than what I'm going to do, just because I don't have the access to the Media Blast cabinet and stuff like that. And the paint finishes on mine are still pretty good, but I am going to change like the totes, and the front handle. They're plastic, and you can actually get from Lee Valley for free the templates for each one of the Stanley hand planes to make a new back tote for it.
Oh, that's sweet. So
I'm going to make it out of wood and replace them, and then I'll probably jump on the lathe and turn a corresponding piece for the front knob. So it'll be interesting, and I may or may not shoot some video of it. I don't know. I may do it, and if it doesn't turn out, then I'll just never release the video.
Either that or do one so you can get the hang of it and then do your other one.
Yeah, exactly.
On a video, anyway.
All right, well, what's your last video? And when I say last video, I'm really going to mean last 2 videos, because you sent me something with 2 parts. So
well, yeah.
In good faith, only give one part out.
It was kind of a continuation, but this was the outside of the woodworking realm, and I always look forward to these posts. But I don't know. I don't want to have to be 100% woodworking on YouTube, so I found a world champion Frisbee trickster or trick artist, and he actually collaborated with another set of YouTubers that does basketball trick shots, and it's not Dude Perfect. I know you guys are thinking of those, but these guys are young. They're teenagers. The name of their channel is Legendary Shots, and Brody Smith is the Frisbee trick artist, and they collabed and did a Greatest Game of Horse Part 1 and Part 2, and it is just amazing what they can do with a basketball and a Frisbee. The Frisbee especially. They're standing on tops of like stadiums and just hurling a Frisbee just kind of randomly and making it into a basketball goal.
Yeah.
Or
That's pretty insane. It's insane.
I'm just kind of like jaw dropped. I'm like, well, what did he just do?
I mean, I throw a frisbee and hope it goes in a direction kind of where I want it to go. These guys are like landing it in a basketball goal and stuff.
Yeah, or hitting a frisbee with a bat and landing it into a goal. It's crazy. But yeah, I like the outside the box sometimes, and I have a subscription to Dude Perfect and Brody Smith and Legendary Shots just to kind of keep it interesting and kind of see the energy that they produce their videos with, especially people like Dude Perfect, because their videos their camera angles and their energy levels and all of that just gets me inspired to make my videos that much better. So that's one reason I kind of watch other videos outside the woodworking realm, is just to get inspiration on how to make mine better.
Yeah. All right, well, you don't have to go search for these videos. We're actually created a YouTube playlist for you. You can head over to our YouTube channel, Woodshop 101 Podcast, and find the playlist called, I think it's videos of episode 14 or episode 14 videos. Or we'll include the link in our show notes, so you just head to the website, and there'll be a link, and it'll take you straight to the playlist, and highly encourage you to go through all 11 of those videos, because I'm including the second part to Drew's last one, and just give them a watch, because you never know when you will either find a new creator to start watching, find an inspiration, an idea, and we would definitely like to know what you think about those videos. More, we want to know what videos you suggest we watch. Send us an email, Facebook, Twitter, wherever you got it. I'm sure we'll find it with a link or even a title to a video you want us to check out. And who knows, maybe we'll start trying to highlight one video every show or something, and put it in the show notes. We started this to help get the content from the YouTube woodworkers out there, and why not start trying to check out some videos? So we would definitely like to hear from you.
Yeah, and the comments that people leave, it not only helps us, but it helps, like Jeremy said, the people that are listening to us. People like Paul Meyette, he's actually given us some kickback on our last video, basically letting us know that the episode that we had with Brian was a great episode. He said, thanks for all the shout-outs that you've been giving me. He said, in regards to the April Wilkerson episode, I did miss it and listened to it for a week or so later and just didn't comment because I had watched it late. Well, that's no excuse there, Paul.
We'll take your comments whenever we get them.
That's right, you slacker.
I mean, we put out show late, and you still listen to us and comment
Very
on
late.
it.
Yeah.
So
he says, I do watch her channel all the time, though. She is on my regular list. He also said, great topic with Brian. He was a good guest to have, easy to listen to. Hearing the different paths you guys take on plans was very interesting. So I guess Brian has a really good mellow tone voice, that good radio voice.
Yeah.
Put Paul to sleep.
Somebody, he's either going to count sheep at night or he's going to listen to somebody.
Yeah.
So
why not listen?
Exactly. All right, well, if you guys would like your question answered on air, guaranteed, or you just want to hang out with us after the show, then you can become a patron over at our Patreon campaign at www.patreon.com/woodshop101. And you can enter as low as $1 a month, and I think all the way up to $60. And each one of those come with different reward levels. And, I realize some people don't want to get into a monthly commitment. There's nothing wrong with that. So I think I'm going to start looking at some other options. And maybe the next show, or maybe the next two shows, I'll let you guys know some other options that we came up with for you guys to help support the show. It kind of offsets some of the costs for us. We got to pay for hosting fees and stuff like that. And it helps keeps the lights on here, and it'll help us bring better content to you. So,
and plus, you'll get rewards for it too. I mean, even though we're going to search other avenues, the rewards will still play into effect. We'll just have to work that stuff out. But yeah, the monthly commitment sometimes is a problem, and I think definitely just a simple one-time donation way of doing things, or I don't know. We'll just have to kick it around, but definitely we will make it a little bit easier on you guys and still give you rewards at the same time.
Exactly. All right. Well, Drew, if you want to give them the contact info, and we'll get off here and stop bugging them for the night.
Well, considering that we procrastinated on doing this, well, it was inadvertent procrastination.
Yeah, but we'll have another show next week. Hopefully, we'll get back on schedule.
And for next week, we may or may not have a guest. So don't be disappointed if we don't have one. But might give us a little bit of a reset to get a lineup of guests too.
Yeah.
So.
And right now, a lot of the guests are going to be hard because a lot, and when I say a lot, there's going to be several handfuls of YouTube woodworkers heading to WIA here in a few weeks. And people are they're trying to get ready for that. And to get somebody to dedicate an evening with us is going to be a little more difficult over the next few weeks until that event is over. So we'll do our best to still get those guests on for you, but just know that's a big thing that's coming up that's occupying the minds of a lot of woodworkers right now.
Yeah, including myself. So whether or not we can get a show out around WIA time, if our schedule falls around that, we might have to postpone a week. But I am also one of the woodworkers that are going to WIA. So if you guys are in the area or are planning on attending, be sure and stop by our booth that we're going to have too, where you can meet some of the other YouTube woodworkers. And I'd like to shake your hand and get to know you a little bit better.
So
well, basically the contact, if you want to get a hold of either me or Jeremy, we both have Facebook pages. We both have Twitter pages, even though Jeremy is not that versed in Twitter.
Hey, I'm becoming a little more versed.
Okay. Well, he does have Facebook. He likes that a lot. So you can find links for our Facebook pages and Twitter pages in the show notes. We also have a website for the Woodshop 101 channel, which is woodshop101podcast.com/listen. That'll take you to links that you can stream on your computer. We also have a YouTube channel, and there will be a link to that as well. Just search Woodshop 101 podcast in the search. You'll find our link for that. Let's see. We like to post our videos or our audio podcasts about every other week. But this one and prior ones that we've had to postpone a couple weeks, which means we do like 2 shows in a row. So don't be concerned if you don't get one on the second week, because that does happen to us sometimes. If you want to leave us a question, you can go to our Skype and search Woodshop 101 podcast and leave us a voicemail there. Or you can send us an email at woodshop101podcast@gmail.com. Either way, we're going to try and feature those questions on air. So if you leave us a voicemail, you'll hear your voicemail message on air. And if you have a question through email, we'll read it out and answer it. We always look forward to those. So hopefully you guys can give us some more feedback on our prior episodes as well as our episodes that we just got done with. So guys, that's it for me. From Jeremy and myself, we guys want to wish you well, and please remember to be safe in your shops, and we'll see you guys next time. And Jeremy, 1, 2, 3.
Boom.
Boom.